weeks, right, that my platform wasn't classical, and that I would only ever post right when I first started doing kind of Instagram properly, which was probably like 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half. I'd only ever put classical snippets of like my practice videos or anything. I'd do my gigs in secret. I wouldn't tell anyone I played house music. I literally just wouldn't say anything. I'd be embarrassed. I'd be like, oh God, I'm not doing the proper thing. You know, I'm kind of compromising my identity here because I need money. Like, this is just not, like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And then I learned a few life lessons, not even music related. You know, as we all do, things happen.
Sure.
When I moved from Manchester back home, because I live in my family home at the moment for this pandemic. But when I moved home, I was only home temporarily because I was going to go off on tour. I was literally going to be gone for 6 months. And then obviously COVID. Yeah. So I had to then, I'm just in the house.
Sure.
But I started going into London and doing more and more of that kind of thing, and found that I was enjoying it more and more. And making it into a social thing. You know, I could gig and then I could enjoy myself. Or why wouldn't I do that? What's the problem? Like, that's kind of the best thing ever. You know, you're getting paid, you can have a few drinks, you're playing cool music, and you get free food, and you can go on a night out afterwards. This is great, you know?
Yeah, sounds good.
And then I was kind of slowly accepting it. And then I think when I started to get better at it and more confident, like with improv and all that stuff, I was like, oh, I'm actually kind of good at this. Okay, I'll put some of that on too, which then drew in new audiences, even online. You know, you draw in new people. I even posted something like a few weeks ago, and I got into using Splice, you know, like making beats and stuff.
Sure. And
I'd never done it before, and I was like, I really need to do something. And I put just a really basic loop up there, and it like literally blew up the whole the track. It was only like a minute or something, and I got music producers and people that make beats get in touch with me, and you know, then follow me, and it literally just did this to a whole section of music that I wouldn't normally do. And I thought, oh my God, I actually love this. So I explored that. Then I feel like my life kind of does this. It's not do you know, like you kind of go off on one thing, and then you do one thing, and then it opens up something, and you go there. I kind of sort of gone off on a tangent there, but yeah, that's
what it's all about.
That's what my brain did anyway.
Love it.
So
wow, yeah, that's awesome.
But I mean, you sound like you have a similar way of looking at stuff. You know, I know it's different in the US. It's more, you do go through those traditional, like, you know, you go to college, and then you do your masters, and then you go on to do your teaching thing, and then what do you do, assistant professor somewhere, or do you know what I mean? There's
it's like we call it adjunct here, and so it's like, you know, same job but no security and like, you know, very low pay, but it's like the first rung on the ladder of like the field. And so then you do that, because it's interesting, because in our field, at least for like what we're trying to do, and it's true in the States at least, where it's like you are highly qualified for the job with no experience, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like you have 3 or more degrees, like, you know, like, it's crazy. Yeah. And so.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
But yeah, and so you get all these degrees, you spend almost 10 years studying, if not more. So you're almost 30. And you've never had a job ever, you know? I tell my parents all the time, I'm a professional student. I'm just going to ride that out as long as I can, which is terrible.
Amazing.
But anyway, it's like one of those sad jokes. Anyway, no, I mean, there's, again, a lot of pros and cons. I love it. Getting a lot better and developed myself as an artist, was what we're talking about. But yeah, and so then you go out in the field and you just try to get any experience you can. And so that's how that's how colleges get, okay, well, we don't want to pay a full-time professor and have to do all the benefits and stuff, and so you're teaching at a small college with a small studio, but you're a professor, and so then you get to say that, and that's how you get into, you know, eventually get, and so you tend to do that for a couple years, and then you slowly move up, and then once you get my like circle of people always call it a life job, where it's like you like as soon as you get that college job where it's like your tenure track and you've got a pretty good, even if you have a bad studio, I mean, you can make it good ideally, but like that's your life job if you're working at a big university. And if you want to be even more blunt about it, it's typically University of blank or blank state university. Like if you're in the top tier, the one of the 2 colleges in each state, I mean, and again, it's debatable. There's only like a handful of states that are really competitive in saxophone and get a lot of pull.
Yeah.
But that's how it works. But yeah, I mean, I totally resonate with what you're saying because it's such in my mind right now, especially as like I'm going into my doctorate, and I know a lot of people can resonate with what I'm talking about just in the States and wherever, you know, anyone going for your like termination degree, like it's your last one, it has to be.
Yeah.
You know, I guess some people do a master's while they do it, like in theory or something, trying to make themselves more marketable, which is fine. But it's like your termination degree. It's long time. Not
and like there's so many cool things. I'm not putting down
doing that. Yeah.
Absolutely not, because
no.
It's tough. That's tough. Like that really is.
Yeah.
But in the time that someone will have been going down that road, someone else will have, and I suppose different paths, all good,
Sure.
but there's so many things to see and do.
Yeah.
That you just won't be able to do because you're really going down that, this one way. And I'm not saying it's the wrong way, but I am thankful that, how do I say, like, when I said before that I wanted to do what I do, and then at the end, if someone wants me to teach, we'll see what happens, And I like that, because if I knew I was in my end job now, I don't think I'd stay.
Yeah.
I think I'd get bored.
I just totally, I know what is so refreshing for me. It finally clicked, is because in our circle of like what we do, I feel that everyone thinks that, God, it's like so many thoughts. Okay, so there are a huge amount of people that want that professor job who are not there to teach. And it's a true shame, because you're a teacher first. You're a freaking teacher at a school. Yeah. Like, why? What the, like, that's the most like idiotic thing ever. Like, I'm going to get this job, but I don't want to teach. Like, that's not why I'm here. And maybe it's, I don't know. It seems like in other disciplines that might make more sense. Okay. And so like in the science department, a lot of professors are there to do research, and like that is they're like giving back to their field, and we do that too. But God, I just resonate so much with like, you're a teacher, so shouldn't you like be dedicated to teaching, And so, but anyway, there's a lot of people who are, that is not their primary goal, but they think that they basically want to do what you do after they get that job, as if they can't do it until you have the platform as a professor. And that is what's so refreshing, is because you're not a professor, and like you only, or not only, I'm sorry, but you did college for 5 years. It's just, it's nice because you see professors, even young professors, doing what you do, like performing, traveling, doing the whole thing, but they've been in school for 10 years. Yeah. And you've been in school half that long, and you've been doing more than a lot of people, That's what's so refreshing to me, is it's like, it's totally possible.